The small town of Pinewood was buzzing with a rare kind of excitement. It was the week before the annual Pinewood County Talent Showcase, an event that everyone looked forward to all year, from toddlers taking their first steps on stage to seniors. Showing off decades of practice, the showcase was a beloved tradition. This year, the gym at Pinewood High School had been decked out in bright banners, twinkling fairy lights, and colorful balloons. Flyers plastered the town's lampposts, shop windows, and the community center, all announcing the big event. But one flyer, in particular, caught the eye of many residents. It was simple and neat, written in a child's careful handwriting with the words, "Emma and Max, Surprise Act." Nobody knew exactly what that meant. Emma Blake was a quiet 10-year-old girl who lived on the edge of town with her family and her golden retriever. Max was a happy dog with a thick, shiny coat and an easygoing personality. He was well known around the neighborhood, friendly, obedient, and always ready for a game of fetch. Emma wasn't like most kids her age. While others might have signed up for singing, dancing, or magic tricks, Emma had chosen something more mysterious. Her best friend, Lily, had tried to get her to spill the details. "Come on, Emma," she begged one afternoon after school. "What's the surprise? Is Max going to do tricks? Will you sing?" Emma just smiled quietly and shook her head. "You'll see," she said softly, eyes sparkling with a secret she wasn't ready to share. Word quickly spread through the town about the little girl and her dog entering the contest. But with no clue as to what their act might be, the speculation was endless. Some thought it would be a simple obedience routine. Others guessed Emma might have taught Max to dance. Older residents remembered a similar act years ago that had wowed the crowd with clever tricks, and they hoped for the same magic. Emma, single quotes. Parents were proud, but kept the details under wraps. They had watched their daughter form an extraordinary bond with Max ever since he was a puppy. It wasn't just about training or obedience. It was something deeper. Max had started losing his hearing recently, and Emma had quietly adapted her way of communicating with him. While other kids might have found the challenge frustrating, Emma found it inspiring. Each day after school, Emma and Max would disappear into their backyard for hours. Neighbors passing by would hear nothing but the occasional bark or the gentle sound of paws on grass. Emma used no voice commands anymore. Instead, she moved her hands slowly, almost like a secret dance, and Max responded immediately. Their connection seemed to transcend normal pet owner interaction, becoming something almost magical. Even at school, Emma kept her act a secret. She knew curiosity was part of the fun, but she didn't want anyone else to guess what she and Max had been practicing. During recess, she would simply smile when friends asked, "How's your act going?" but never revealed a thing. As the days to the showcase drew nearer, excitement mixed with nerves. Emma's family made sure she had everything she needed: her lucky bracelet, Max's favorite treats, and a calm, supportive presence. Her mom reminded her gently, "Just do your best and have fun, Emma. No matter what, we're proud of you." The night before the big day, the whole town seemed to hold its breath. Families chatted about the acts they couldn't wait to see. But the one everyone whispered about most was Emma and Max, the mysterious duo with the surprise act nobody could predict. As Emma lay in bed, Max curled up beside her. She felt a flutter of excitement mixed with nerves. Tomorrow was the moment she and Max had been preparing for. A moment that might just change how everyone in Pinewood saw her and her incredible dog. Emma had always known that Max was special. From the moment he'd bounded into her life as a playful golden retriever puppy, there was a spark between them, an unspoken understanding that went beyond ordinary pet and owner. But the real challenge came when Max began to lose his hearing. For most people, that would mean frustration, maybe even giving up on training. But not for Emma. Instead, Emma discovered a new way to communicate. It started with simple gestures hand, signals she'd seen used with other dogs in books and videos. But soon, she developed something unique, a language only Max could understand. It was subtle, almost invisible to anyone watching. A tilt of the wrist, a flick of a finger, the way her hand curved just so. It was a language born from patience and love. Every day after school, Emma retreated to the quiet of her backyard, where she and Max practiced their secret routine. No music played. No words were spoken. The only sounds were the soft rustle of leaves, the gentle thud of Max's paws on the grass, and Emma's careful, deliberate hand movements. Neighbors often wondered what the girl was doing out there, all alone with her dog, but Emma didn't mind. She was in her own world. Sometimes, Max would misinterpret a signal or hesitate, but Emma never lost patience. She would kneel down, look into his eyes, and repeat the gesture with even more care. It was their private conversation, a bond, formed in silence. What made their connection even more remarkable was how well Max responded despite his growing deafness. While other dogs might have become confused or anxious, Max seemed to thrive under Emma's guidance. It was almost as if he was reading her mind. Emma's parents noticed the change too. They watched with pride as their daughter's determination turned a challenge into something beautiful. "She's found a way to speak without words," her dad said one evening, shaking his head in amazement. "That takes more patience than I have." Her mom smiled warmly. "It's their special bond." Even at school, Emma's secret language stayed locked away. When friends asked about her act, she only smiled mysteriously. "It's something Max and I have been working on for a long time," she'd say softly. "It's special." Emma's teacher, Mrs. Carter, noticed the change in Emma's confidence. The shy girl who usually kept to herself now seemed quietly excited, almost glowing with a new sense of purpose. "Whatever you're doing with Max, Emma," Mrs. Carter told her, "one afternoon, I think you're going to surprise us all." As the talent show approached, Emma's secret language became the heart of her act. It wasn't just a performance. It was a story told through movement and trust. She wanted the audience to see what she saw, a deep friendship where words weren't needed. To prepare, Emma even made notes in a small notebook. She jotted down the sequence of gestures, the order of Max's moves, and little reminders to keep calm. Sometimes, she would draw sketches of her hand positions to help her remember. It was like learning a dance routine, but one that spoke volumes without sound. Her favorite part was when Max would respond to a tiny flick of her fingers by spinning gracefully or giving a precise bow. She loved how they communicated silently, how Max seemed to understand every nuance. Emma's single quotes, "S" heart swelled with pride when she thought about the upcoming performance. It was more than just winning a trophy. It was about showing the world that love, patience, and a secret language could overcome any obstacle. On the morning of the talent show, Emma sat quietly with Max by her side, practicing their gestures. "One last time," she whispered softly to him. "We've got this, buddy." Max wagged his tail, eyes shining with trust. Whatever happened that day, Emma knew they were ready. Their secret language would speak louder than words ever could. The days leading up to the talent showcase were filled with a strange mix of anticipation and mystery, especially around Emma's house. The whole neighborhood had begun to notice something unusual about the quiet girl and her golden retriever. Each afternoon, right after school, Emma and Max slipped out the back door into their yard. But instead of the usual raucous dog games or loud calls, the only thing neighbors could hear was silence or almost silence. No music, no shouted commands. Just soft footsteps on grass, and the occasional bark or panting breath. Mrs. Williams, who lived next door, often stood at her window with a cup of tea, watching curiously. "What on earth are they up to?" she whispered one day to her husband. "They've been practicing like this for weeks, and there's no noise. Just gestures. It's almost like a secret code." Even Emma's best friend, Lily, was baffled. One afternoon, Lily caught Emma leaving the house and asked, "Why won't you tell me what the act is?" "Come on, Emma. I promise I won't tell anyone." Emma just smiled and shook her head. "It's a surprise," she said, her eyes twinkling. Lily wasn't convinced. "I bet it's some kind of magic trick. Or maybe Max can dance." But Emma remained tight-lipped. The mystery only made the whole thing more exciting. Inside their home, Emma's parents watched their daughter with a mixture of pride and gentle concern. They knew Max's hearing loss made communication difficult, but they'd been amazed to see how Emma had turned that challenge into an opportunity to invent their own unique way of speaking. The silent hand signals and the invisible connection between girl and dog were something special. Emma's father once asked, "You think Max will be ready for the stage?" Emma simply nodded. "He's my best friend. We've practiced every day. He understands me better than anyone else." Her mother smiled warmly and added, "That kind of bond is rare." Around town, whispers started to build. Some wondered if Emma's act was just a simple obedience routine, but others felt it would be something more, something touching. After all, Max wasn't just any dog. He was well-loved, gentle, and had been part of the community for years. At school, the teachers noticed a new spark in Emma. Once shy and reserved, she now carried herself with quiet confidence. Her classmates were curious, but Emma politely avoided questions. The mystery was part of the excitement, and Emma liked it that way. As the showcase drew closer, Emma and Max's backyard rehearsals grew more intense. Emma carefully timed each gesture, and Max responded with perfect precision. The routine wasn't flashy or loud. It was graceful, fluid, and full of meaning. Sometimes, passers-by would catch glimpses of Max spinning on his hind legs or leaping gracefully over imaginary hurdles. They'd stop and watch, amazed by how synchronized the two looked, like they were sharing a secret dance only they could understand. Emma's secret language fascinated many who saw it, even if only from afar. It was a reminder that communication isn't always about words or sound. It's about trust, patience, and connection. Evening, as the sun dipped below the trees, Emma's father stood quietly at the fence, watching the final rehearsal. "This is going to be something special," he said softly. "No one will expect the depth of what you've created." Emma smiled, feeling the weight of those words. She glanced down at Max, who looked up with calm, trusting eyes. Together, they had crafted something beyond tricks or talent. They had built a language born from love. With every silent movement, Emma and Max were ready to surprise Pinewood. And as the big day neared, the quiet rehearsals that had sparked so much curiosity were about to reveal their magic to the entire town. The morning of the talent showcase dawned bright and clear, but inside Emma's house, the air was thick with nervous energy. The whole family was bustling around, making sure everything was ready. Emma sat quietly on the couch, Max lying calmly beside her. Sensing her growing excitement and tension, her parents tried to keep things lighthearted. "Remember to smile and have fun," her mom reminded gently, brushing a stray lock of hair from Emma's face. Her dad handed her a small bag filled with Max's favorite treats and her lucky bracelet, simple silver charm shaped like a paw. Emma clutched the bracelet tightly. It wasn't just luck she needed, but courage. She knew all eyes would be on her and Max that evening, and the secret act they had practiced in silence was about to be revealed. At school, whispers about Emma's performance reached a fever pitch. Classmates speculated wildly. "Do you think Max will sing?" one kid joked. Another guessed, "Maybe Emma will do magic and Max will be her assistant." Nobody really knew, but everyone agreed it was the most exciting thing to happen in Pinewood for a long time. Lily tried to catch Emma. Before the last bell. "Promise me you'll tell me if it's scary," she said, biting her lip. Emma smiled and nodded. "I will. But you have to promise to cheer the loudest." Lily grinned, already imagining the moment she'd jump up and clap Dot back home. Emma reviewed her notes one last time. The gestures, the sequence, the timing, it all had to be perfect. Max sat attentively, eyes bright and focused, as if he understood the importance of the day. When the afternoon slipped into evening, Emma's family piled into their car and drove to Pinewood High School. The gymnasium was alive with chatter, laughter, and the buzz of anticipation. Colorful banners hung from the ceiling, and rows of folding chairs were filled with families, friends, and neighbors eager to see the acts. Emma's heart pounded as they found their seats near the front. Max rested his head on her lap, offering comfort with his warm presence. The lights dimmed, and the host took the stage, welcoming everyone with cheerful enthusiasm. One by one, the acts came and went, singers hitting high notes, dancers spinning and leaping, comedians delivering quick-witted jokes. The audience clapped politely, but none of the performances seemed to capture the magic that the town was hoping for. Finally, the announcer called out, "And now, please welcome Emma and Max, our surprise act." Emma stood slowly, smoothing her shirt and gripping Max's leash a little tighter. The room quieted, eyes turning to the young girl and her golden retriever. A few curious whispers floated through the crowd. What will they do? On stage, Emma felt the weight of all those eyes, but instead of fear, she found calm. Max sat beside her, alert and steady. Emma took a deep breath, reminding herself of all the silent rehearsals, the secret language, and the bond that had grown stronger every day. She raised her hand, making the mysterious gesture she had practiced so many times. It was small and simple, a flick of her wrist, almost like a wave. Max's ears perked up, even though he couldn't hear the applause. His eyes locked onto hers, and then something incredible began. Emma's silent signal sent Max into motion. He spun, jumped, and moved with a grace that seemed almost choreographed. Every step he took was perfectly timed, responding to gestures no one else could hear or understand. The audience sat mesmerized, watching the quiet conversation unfold on stage. Emma felt her nerves melt away. This was their moment, a moment they had prepared for. No words were needed. The bond between girl and dog spoke louder than anything else in the room. As Max performed, the crowd leaned in, caught up in the magic of the silent routine. The mysterious gesture was no longer a secret. It was a beautiful story told through trust, patience, and love. Emma knew one thing for sure. Whatever happened next, this night would be remembered. The moment Emma made the mysterious hand gesture, the entire room seemed to hold its breath. Max, sitting quietly by her side, suddenly came alive. With a fluid grace, he leapt to his feet and began to move, each step perfectly synchronized. With Emma's silent commands, the audience watched in awe as Max spun in tight circles, his golden fur catching the stage lights with every turn. Then, as if responding to a secret signal, he executed a flawless jump over an imaginary hurdle, landing softly and immediately transitioning into a series of elegant bows. Every movement was precise, flowing naturally from one to the next, like a carefully choreographed dance. It was clear to everyone that this wasn't just a trick. It was a conversation between Emma and Max, spoken without words but full of meaning. The crowd was captivated by the harmony between the girl and her dog, a harmony built on trust, patience, and an extraordinary bond that seemed to transcend anything they had seen before. Backstage, some performers paused their preparations to watch. Even the gruff stagehands, used to all kinds of acts, found themselves leaning forward, eyes wide with wonder. Whispers of, "How is he doing that? And what's the secret?" floated through the air. Emma stayed focused, her eyes never leaving Max's. Every flick of her wrist, every subtle motion of her fingers, was met with an immediate response. Max was like a mirror of her intentions, calm, confident, and full of energy. At one point, Emma made a small, almost imperceptible nod, and Max responded by gently placing his paw on her chest. The simple gesture sent a wave of emotion through the audience. Many people's eyes glistened with tears, touched by the pure connection between the two. The silence in the room was powerful. There was no music, no spoken commands, only the silent language between Emma and Max, and the steady rhythm of their shared heartbeat. It was a moment that felt timeless, like watching a beautiful story unfold in real time. When Max finished the routine with a final, graceful bow, the crowd erupted into applause. Cheers and whistles filled the auditorium as people rose to their feet, clapping loudly. Some wiped away tears, others smiled with amazement, and many whispered to their neighbors about the incredible act they had just witnessed. Emma's cheeks flushed with pride and relief. Max wagged his tail energetically, basking in the praise. For a brief moment, the noise of the crowd seemed to fade away, leaving only the warmth of their connection. As the applause continued, the head judge leaned forward, eyes wide in disbelief. Known for being difficult to impress, she remained silent for a few seconds before rising to her feet, a rare and powerful gesture in itself. Her expression was one of awe and respect, and the entire room fell quiet again, eager to hear her thoughts. Emma's heart raced, but she stayed calm. She knew that no matter the outcome, the bond she shared with Max was what truly mattered. This was more than a performance. It was a celebration of friendship and understanding, a reminder that sometimes the most powerful messages don't need words. The judge's voice finally filled the room, steady but emotional. "I have been part of this community's talent showcase for over 20 years, she said. "And tonight, Emma and Max have given us something extraordinary. Their silent communication, their trust, and their love have touched every one of us. This is the kind of performance that stays with you long after the lights go down." Her words sparked another wave of applause, even louder than before. Emma and Max stood together on stage, sharing a quiet moment amid the cheers. As they left the stage, Emma's parents rushed to hug her, tears of joy shining in their eyes. "You are amazing," her mom whispered. "We knew you could do it." Emma looked down at Max, who licked her hand affectionately. "We did it," she said softly. The mysterious gesture that had started it all had ignited a magic no one in Pinewood would forget. After the thunderous applause began to settle, the host of the talent showcase took the microphone again, his voice filled with excitement. "And now, it's time for the judges to announce the winner of this year's Pinewood Talent Showcase." Emma sat nervously in the audience with her parents, Max resting quietly by her side. She felt proud of what they had done, but the waiting was almost unbearable. Every second felt stretched as the judges conferred behind the scenes. The head judge, Mrs. Green, stepped forward. She was known in the community as a strict but fair evaluator, someone who didn't hand out praise lightly. When she spoke, people listened. "This year, we have witnessed many wonderful performances," Mrs. Green began, her eyes scanning the room. "But there is one act that stands out, not only because of the skill involved, but because of the heart behind it." Emma's heart pounded in her chest. Emma and Max have shown us a silent language that bridges gaps we often take for granted. The judge continued. Max's hearing loss could have been a limitation, but Emma's creativity, patience, and love transformed it into something beautiful. Their connection is inspiring to everyone here. The audience nodded, many wiping away tears. The judge paused, then smiled. Therefore, it is with great pleasure that I announce Emma and Max as the winners of this year's talent showcase. The gymnasium exploded with cheers. Friends, family, and even strangers clapped loudly as Emma's name was called. She rose slowly, still feeling a mix of disbelief and joy. Max trotted beside her, tail wagging enthusiastically as she stepped back onto the stage to accept the trophy. Emma felt a warm rush of happiness. It wasn't just the prize, it was the recognition of the bond she shared with Max, the secret language they had created, and the journey they had taken together. After the ceremony, many people came up to congratulate Emma. Some asked about the secret gestures. Others shared stories about their own pets and special connections. The town felt closer, connected by the magic of Emma and Max's performance. Emma's parents beamed with pride. "You showed everyone how love can speak louder than words," her mother said. Hugging her tightly, Emma looked down at Max, who gave a gentle woof as if to say, "We did it." She knelt beside him, running her fingers through his soft fur. "This is just the beginning, buddy," she whispered later that night. Emma lay in bed, Max curled up beside her as usual. She thought about everything that had happened, the quiet rehearsals, the nerves, the moment on stage, and the applause that had filled the room. She realized that the real prize was not the trophy, but the journey itself, the patience, the trust, and the incredible friendship that had grown stronger with every silent gesture. As she drifted off to sleep, Emma knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, she and Max would face them together, speaking a language that only they could understand. In Pinewood, the story of the young girl and her remarkable dog would be told for years to come. After the talent showcase, life in Pinewood seemed to change for Emma and Max. Their story spread quickly through the town, becoming a symbol of hope and determination. Newspapers featured Emma on their front pages, and local radio stations invited her for interviews. Everywhere she went, people smiled warmly, some even asking for a chance to learn the secret language she had created with Max. At first, Emma felt a little overwhelmed by all the attention. She was still the quiet girl who loved her dog more than anything, and now suddenly she was something of a local celebrity. But deep down, she knew the spotlight wasn't about fame. It was about sharing something important. With the support of her parents, Emma decided to start teaching others about silent communication with animals. She began volunteering at the local community center, organizing small workshops where she showed how simple gestures and patience could help people connect with their pets in new ways. Max was, of course, the star of these workshops. His gentle nature and willingness to perform brought smiles and inspiration to everyone who watched. Kids who had never interacted much with dogs found themselves opening up, learning that love didn't always need words. Emma's teachers noticed the change in her as well. She was more confident in class, willing to speak up and share her ideas. Her classmates who once teased her now looked up to her, admiring her dedication and kindness. One afternoon, as Emma packed up after a workshop, a woman approached her with a thoughtful expression. "Emma, I'm Dr. Harris," she said. "I'm a speech therapist, and I believe your approach could help children who have difficulty communicating. Would you consider working with us?" Emma's eyes widened. This was an opportunity she hadn't expected. "I'd love to," she said quietly. Soon, Emma began visiting the local hospital, working with children who struggled to speak or hear. She used the same silent gestures she had developed with Max, teaching families and therapists how to build bonds through patience and nonverbal communication. It was challenging, but Emma felt a deep sense of purpose. Every smile, every moment of understanding made her believe that their secret language could change lives beyond PINEWOOD. Meanwhile, Max continued to thrive. Though his hearing was limited, his spirit remained strong. Emma made sure to spend plenty of time with him, exploring new ways to keep their connection alive. They would go on long walks in the woods, practice new gestures, and even learn simple tricks that didn't require sound out one evening as they sat watching the sunset. From their backyard, Emma thought about how far they had come. From a shy girl and her deaf dog practicing in silence, they had grown into a team capable of inspiring a whole community. But Emma knew the journey was far from over. There were still mysteries to explore, challenges to face, and new ways to communicate. Waiting just around the corner. As Max rested his head on her lap, Emma smiled and whispered, "We're ready for whatever comes next." And in that quiet moment, with the sky painted in soft colors and the world at their feet, Emma and Max looked forward to a future filled with hope, friendship, and the unspoken magic that only they shared. Months passed, and the story of Emma and Max continued to touch hearts far beyond the small town of Pinewood. Their silent language had sparked interest from people all over the region. Emma's workshops grew, drawing visitors from nearby towns, eager to learn how to communicate with their pets in new ways. One crisp autumn morning, Emma received an unexpected letter. It was an invitation to speak at a conference on animal communication and therapy held in a nearby city. The event brought together experts, trainers, and animal lovers from across the country. Emma felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. This was a chance to share her story on a much bigger stage with Max. By her side, Emma traveled to the conference. She watched as people listened intently to her presentation, eyes lighting up when she demonstrated the simple hand gestures she had developed. Questions poured in, and Emma answered them with a calm confidence she hadn't felt before. Afterward, a woman approached her quietly. "Emma, I work with a nonprofit that helps children with disabilities," she said. "Your approach could change so many lives. We'd like to partner with you." The offer opened new doors for Emma, but she never forgot where it all began. In the quiet moments of trust and love with Max. Back home, Pinewood celebrated Emma's success. The local school invited her to speak about perseverance, creativity, and friendship. Emma's message was clear. Sometimes, the strongest voices are the ones that don't need to be spoken. At home, Max remained the heart of it all. Though he couldn't hear the applause or the praise, he knew love in every gesture, every touch, every look they shared. Emma often reflected on that mysterious gesture, the first silent signal that started everything. It was a reminder that sometimes the smallest actions carry the greatest power. One evening, as the sun set in golden hues, Emma sat with Max in the backyard, the cool breeze rustling the leaves. She gently stroked his fur and whispered, "Thank you for teaching me how to listen without words." Max rested his head on her knee, eyes soft and trusting. Emma smiled, knowing their story was just beginning. Together, they had created a legacy, a testament to the incredible bonds that form when we truly see and understand one another. And in the hearts of everyone who heard their story, the lesson remained clear. Love speaks in many ways, and sometimes the quietest gestures echo the loudest.